Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my recap and review for the 93rd Annual Academy Awards. Whew, thank goodness this award season is just over. Usually I have so much fun, like predicting and being in these discussions. All of the lead up into actual Oscars night is usually a blast and what my little film heart loves to be a part of. But this year, not as much, certainly. It just drug on for so long. So please, Academy, I know we did it for the pandemic. Never do that again. Never delay the ceremony like this again, because it was actually hard to make it to awards night. That's how annoying things had gotten between film Twitter losing their minds left, right, and center, just constantly going on and on with the buffoonery. It was really starting to grate and get on my nerves, if I'm being honest. And then we get to this. This is what we're rewarded with after all of these months of waiting and speculating and holding our breaths. One of the worst award telecasts I've seen in years. But we'll get to all of that because first, you know how we do here. We got to start off with the best and worst dressed of the night. And I would say overall, it was a pretty good night for fashion. I think most everyone looked really great, honestly. And also, if I'm being honest, I didn't see a whole lot of the outfits. I'm sure that has a lot to do with the fact that we were kind of segregated into little mini in-person shows, but it was hard to see some of the outfits. But for our best dressed list, I want to start off with Amanda Seyfried, who looked stunning in this vibrant red gown. It was just this big, beautiful ball gown. I even like the little ruffles up here. The cut here wasn't maybe the most flattering, but she worked it from head to toe. I thought Amanda looked stunning. And then we have Maria Bakalova, who I love. If you can tell, I love a big princess ball gown. And that's what a lot of people delivered. And Maria Bakalova looked beautiful, a vision in white. It was basically like a princess version of a wedding gown. And I thought she looked stunning in it. Plus, the jewelry, the hair, the makeup, it all looked flawless. Viola Davis was a vision in this structured white gown. I thought the design up through the bodice area looked stunning, and she always kills it. I love Viola Davis in a good bright color, and she proves here she can rock white, black, bold colors, literally anything, and Viola will kill it. And then my last lady on the list, I have Regina King, who was an absolute vision in this soft blue dress. These heavily structured sleeves and this nice detail around the cowl looked gorgeous. And then the rhinestones all over the trim on the bottom, the train, everything about this look was stunning. And she's definitely my best dressed female for the evening. Now, the men actually stepped it up for this award show. We got color, we got men taking risks, we got some black on black, some white suits, a lot of really different looks. So I'm not going to put any men on my worst dress list because I appreciate it. Even the ones who didn't quite pull off their looks, I still appreciated that they went there. Like Leslie Odom Jr., his fit wasn't quite right. The suit wasn't tailored enough, but I loved that he rocked that all gold. However, two men who killed it in their daring fashion. First, Lakeith Stanfield. Oh, I loved this. Lakeith is always a little bit outside the box. He's always a little bit odd, a little bit funny, and it all just came true. And that is how he is able to rock this look, this semi-androgynous type of suit that he's wearing, that popped out white collar over the black, the belt in the middle. It was all fabulous, and I loved it. Yes, Lakeith, killing it on the runway. And then honestly, my best dress of the night, men or women, was Coleman Domingo. I loved, loved, loved this all fuchsia pink suit that he wore. Talk about a beautiful, daring choice for the Oscars. that paid off in spades. It was expertly tailored to his body. It fit him like a glove. I loved these pink, silver rhinestone embellishments that came down off of the shoulder. Even the necktie line was stunning. Match it with those boots, the jewelry, literally everything about Coleman Domingo's bright pink look was perfection. I was over the moon the moment I saw it. As for worst dressed, I only have three that I saw that I wasn't really having. And they're three legendary ladies that I love, but they just missed the mark this time. Starting with Reese Witherspoon, this basically just kind of like summer dress was underwhelming to say the least. The two-tone didn't work. The cheap-looking little belt in the middle didn't work. Even the neckline was awkward. It was very lax, very kind of cool, but it didn't really fit her vibe in the moment and didn't have that fashion element to it to make it really pop for a red carpet at the Oscars. Laura Dern basically was wearing like a sock dress covered in ostrich feather boas. I don't really know what was going on here. If the top had been more embellished, if there was a design, if it didn't look like basically just a black turtleneck sweater with ostrich feathers at the bottom, I could have gotten on board with this dramatic ostrich white skirt. But the top is just so incredibly dull and boring that it lost all interest and really just made the bottom look out of place. And then finally, easily, the worst of the night was Halle Berry. From head to toe, I don't know what was going on here. This huge, disproportioned, floppy bow cutting off the middle of her body with this flowy bottom and this weirdly structured top. The color is pretty enough, but everything about the dress is horrible. And then the wig. Oh my God. Hallie, ma'am, please snatch that wig off your own head and throw it straight to the fire to never be seen again. That wig was horrible. This little tiny, not styled, not really cut properly wig, accentuating these open, big looking shoulders with this structure top. Everything about it made her body look a little bit disproportioned. Oh gosh, no. It was a no. The makeup also was a no. Hallie, you are too gorgeous to be looking like this. And a special shout out on the worst list, I have to mention Andra Day, only because this looked more like a Grammys dress, maybe even an MTV Video Music Awards dress. It was pretty enough. It was sexy for sure, but it just didn't give me that Oscar vibe. I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of an elevated version of this dress. So now, on to the ceremony and the hot mess that was this year's Oscars. First of all, we went with an abbreviated type of Oscar ceremony. It was a lot more low key. We didn't have the big grand stages. Obviously, we didn't have the big audiences as usual because of the pandemic. So all of that was fine. I miss the grandness of the Oscars that make it feel like the biggest night in cinema, but I understand. I'm cool with us having to scale things down, feeling a little. However, I usually don't watch all of the pre-coverage for the Oscars. I usually kind of see as people are arriving so I can take a look at their looks. I'll go and peruse Vogue and stuff to see all of the different fashions as people arrive. But I don't sit down and watch the red carpet typically. So this year, I missed all of the best original song performances. And I know that other people don't like it and they don't like having those performed at the ceremony. But personally, I've always liked the best original songs being performed at the ceremony. I know that they're a very little part of film, typically, and especially this year, 4 out of the 5 nominees only played over the end credits, but it gives you a little bit of a break. It gives you an alleviation from just constant talking, award. It's nice to have some entertainment at your award ceremony, and the fact that they're nominees and a part of the film process makes it more appropriate. So I personally like having them being performed, and as we saw tonight, it didn't shorten the ceremony at all to cut out the Best Original Song nominees. However, it did lead to a couple of positive changes when it came to how they structured their award show with that extra time. But I didn't get to see the original songs performed, which I might go back and watch on YouTube. Might not, because because by the end of this, I had a bad taste in my mouth. So we'll see. So one great thing about tonight's show, we didn't have a host. I would love if we just continue with that trend. No more hosts. I am fully on board with hostless award shows moving forward. The less of these cringy comedy gags that we get, the better in my eyes. And this night really cut out almost all of them, and it was all the better for it. The best aspect of that is that the nominees actually had time to give their speech and give their thanks. And I think we got a lot of really endearing, fun, and funny, heartfelt speeches throughout the night that so often in years past would have gotten cut off or interrupted as they were telling these really important stories. So I enjoyed getting to relax and just listen to the people we're here to celebrate get to speak their piece and actually accept their awards. The most obvious case for me was Thomas Vinterberg, who accepted the award for Another Round in Best International Feature. His speech started kind of slow, and he was working through thanking people and talking. And it wasn't until a little bit into what he was saying that he got to this beautifully heartfelt recounting of his daughter who passed away and how that influenced making of the film and her experience with that. And in years past, he would have gotten cut off and we probably would have never got to hear that. And it was so important and beautiful. And he honestly gave one of the best speeches of the night. And speaking of great speeches, Daniel Kaluuya certainly started us off on a great note early on in the ceremony with his speech. He was just so funny. He's so personable and cool, embarrassing his mom out there, but it was a great moment of the evening. But undoubtedly, the highlight speech of the evening was from yuh-jung for her win as Best Supporting Actress. Oh my gosh, how can you not love this woman? Her speech was so fantastic. Her gushing over Brad Pitt, saying, where were you when we were filming our movie? But also just telling everybody else, I was just more lucky than you today. Thank you to my sons for making me go out and work. It all just was fantastic. I love her. So glad she won. However, that structure that seemed to work okay and kind of keep us moving through most of the show completely fell apart. Within that last 45 minutes, all of the structural mishaps of the show came tumbling down and completely ruined the entire telecast. I'm going to say it right now. It ruined it. Everything else was pretty serious throughout, and we're just hearing speeches and we're hearing people talking, which again, I do think gets a little bit laborious and a good reason to have performances mixed in there. But they decided to throw in some random trivia moment with 30 minutes to go and the regular scheduled timing out of the clear blue. It completely was out of tone with the rest of the show. It didn't fit in at all. Maybe if they had done this in the first 15-30 minutes, it would have felt okay. It could have been cute, but instead, Andra Day was not having it. I loved what she said that, of course, Purple Rain was a classic. It was an amazing song. So, of course, they didn't nominate it, which is some BS. And yeah, she was right. It didn't get nominated and it wasn't BS. And we did get a highlight with Glenn Close knowing all about the butt and getting up and doing a little booty dance for it. It was a wonderful moment and further endeared us to Glenn Close, but it just all drug on for way too long. And one ended up literally forcing us to be over the allotted time and making the show run late. Two, took away from the In Memoriam section, which we're going to go ahead and talk about right now because it was an absolute disrespectful mess. And I was flabbergasted watching as that in memoriam happened. So typically we get a performance. A singer comes out and sings, a lovely, slower paced song as the package rolls for our in memoriam. This year they did away with all of the live singing, including this package, and instead inserted a pre-filmed package with a Stevie Wonder song. A Stevie Wonder song actually is a little bit of an upbeat, moving song. It didn't really have the gravitas of an in memoriam piece. So it was already a strange choice as soon as you heard it. And then the edit of the in memoriam itself was insane. For some people, the known people, the big artists, they stayed for 5 seconds maybe on their face. Everybody else, it was like bloop, 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 bloop. I legit barely had time to read one person's name until we got to the next one. It was just so frantic in how it was moving at such a crazy pace. And honestly, it even worked that way with some of our bigger names, like, the late Diana Rigg was just a 2-second throw her up on the screen and rip her down type of thing in here. And honestly, I just found it so tactless the way they did the in memoriam this year. So many great artists who don't get a lot of limelight that are included in the in memoriam section were glossed over. And even the late great Chadwick Boseman, who we're going to get back to how they disrespected him here in a moment, was the closing face of that in memoriam segment, barely was up there for a section of the time. In years past, we even get video clips of some of their acting and what they're doing. And this year it was just a picture that flashed and moved. So to come off of this really ridiculous, hokey pokey type of trivia night that goes on for like 10 minutes, and then do a 3-minute in memoriam in which nobody gets allotted time that they deserve and respect that they have earned, was very, very sad to see. And honestly, one of the most upsetting moments of the entire evening for me. But speaking of video and them not using video there, they didn't use video much at all in the ceremony. And I think that's a big mistake. And we should definitely veer away from that again moving forward. Film is a visual medium. So when you're giving out awards for costume design, when you're giving out awards for production design, when you're giving out awards for best visual effects, when you're giving out awards for acting performances, animation, all of these things, you want to see the nominations on the screen. You want to see the work that we're celebrating. You want to see those effects and those performances. You want to hear that dialogue from the script or see that beautiful cinematography that we're all going on about. And instead, they just droned on and kept talking and showing a little shot of the nominees themselves. So even if you want to show the nominees and actually, show the people behind the craft, I think that's a great idea. Do a split screen or something. Figure out a way to at least show us what we're celebrating while you can also show the people behind the camera. It was an alarming choice to just randomly decide this one gets a film package, this one we're just going to talk, and let's throw this one a film package. It made no sense. Like their best original score? No, they're just going to introduce them and show them in the audience. But best original song, let's go ahead and play a piece of the music. Best animated short film, we'll show the nominees. Best animated feature film, let's show a clip of the film. And in addition, the Oscars serve as such a great marketing tool for these films, a lot of which come from smaller studios, they're independent features, and they don't get a lot of press, a lot of box office. They don't have these big marketing campaigns to the general public. And the Oscars serve as a great marketing tool for them. So you have to show the audience at home a clip, make them want to see these films that are getting awarded and nominated that have all these buzz. But when you just talk about it, you lose that effect immediately. And I think that was a huge mistake. I also think for someone like my grandmother who has seen almost all of the nominees I've seen, it's so much harder for her to keep up because she's not as good at putting the name to the film or the actor to the role that they were in. So yeah, she may have seen all 5 nominees, but she was struggling to just kind of keep track of, oh yeah, that film. I think it really took away from the ceremony to do away with clips the way that they did. And then we have to talk about this frickin' awards order because it was all over the place. There was no rhyme or reason to why they put the awards presentations in the places they did. Director happened so early in the night. I was stunned, and they were just all over the place, back and forth. They weren't really lumped together in like type of categories very often. But then we got to the end, and the most egregious, horrible instance of award presentation order was there on the screen. So we have 3 awards left, and they announced we're doing Best Picture. Now, early on in the awards ceremonies, Best Picture didn't have to go last, but it literally makes no sense. Best Picture should be the final award given on Oscar night. Point blank. There should be no other award that goes last. Because what we're here to do is we're here to honor these films. We're here to celebrate the best films. And Best Picture literally is a culmination of every single other category that was given throughout the night. And it's celebrating the film that put them all together the best. So it makes no sense to not have that be the culminating award that closes out your show. Not to mention, if they had closed it out on Best Picture, we would have gotten this great moment with Chloe Zhao winning both Best Director and getting this victory for Nomadland, an Asian woman who broke so many barriers here. And we would have ended on that amazing Frances McDormand howl. And it would have been a fun close to the evening. Instead, they decided, let's go ahead and present Best Lead Actress and Best Lead Actor as our final 2 awards after Picture has been given out. Now, some speculated that Actress might be last because it was the most competitive category, no clear winner. But a lot of that discourse is happening on like film Twitter. You really think all these people are following us on Twitter, Steven Soderbergh, who produced this mess? No. It soon became evident when Best Lead Actor was announced last what the Academy thought they were going to do here. The really gross, misguided, horrible intentions behind not presenting Best Picture last was we're going to have this beautiful moment when Chadwick Boseman wins for Best Actor. And this touching tribute to Chadwick will close out our show. Well, guess what? Chadwick Boseman didn't win Best Actor. Instead, Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor. Anthony Hopkins, who was not present at this ceremony this year, was not present via Zoom or anything else, probably fast asleep, which I'm not knocking it, but we literally ended on a dud. We ended on an award that so many had their hearts poured into because of what happened with Chadwick Boseman. In addition to his amazing performance, there was that emotional aspect to Chadwick winning this award, and the Academy banked and exploited that emotional aspect, and it was grimy. Oh, it was grimy. But even more than that, we just ended on the most anticlimactic, blech note we could possibly end on. We don't even get to end on a fun speech of any kind. Nothing. We don't get to end on Frances McDormand howling. We end on awkward silence and everybody running off that stage to shut this thing down and get moving. It was horrible. Also, I'm just going to say it's really disappointing to put lead actress and lead actor after Best Picture like this, and then award 2 older white people who have won this award previously over these very diverse fields that they were competing in. I guess that'll lead us into my discussions of the winners and the losers, starting with lead actor and lead actress. Sorry, for me, Frances McDormand was easily 5th out of these 5. She gave the weakest performance here. It was in a lot of ways similar to her performance in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. She had just won that award a couple of years back. She won a producing award here tonight, so she won her 3rd Oscar before we could get a woman of color to win this freaking award. At this point, we have to be asking, we have Halle Berry. And that's about it. Women of color are not seen as leading women. People of color are just not awarded as leads. All people of color are awarded as supporting roles in the bigger picture. A Black director has still yet to ever win that award, even when their picture goes on to win Best Picture. I believe 2 Asian directors have now won. And then Latinx has done the best, with obviously the Three Amigos coming through there and Mexico having such a strong showing. But then it comes to lead actor and lead actress. Asians and Latinx folk have been entirely shut out. But looking at this, Frances McDormand gave a lovely performance. I think it was a very good performance, actually. But in a category this stacked, awarding an already 2-time winner for a good performance against so many great performances. I was so underwhelmed. I'm sorry. I love Frances. I think she's so fun, and she was a mood in that audience with her mask on. But I was really disappointed with her win, if I'm being honest. And then we get to Best Lead Actor. I'm going to honestly say Anthony Hopkins was my number 2. I thought he gave a great performance in The Father. But I just think this was Chadwick's moment. Personally, I really feel like this was Chadwick's moment. He gave a stellar performance. They were both in the same stratosphere, certainly. And this was it. This was his year to win. Obviously, it was his last year that he could ever win this award. And he gave the performance of his career to do it. And Anthony Hopkins was great. I don't begrudge Hopkins for winning, clearly. It wasn't his choice, it was everybody else's. But it was really the cynical trash that was the Academy and production team by putting this award last, baiting us with the posters, with the billboards in Hollywood. They put this frickin' little thing in all of the nominees' gift bags of Chadwick's head. I mean, it's gross, vile, and they all should actually feel ashamed. Chadwick's widow was there, obviously, to accept the award on his behalf if he were to win. And for them to just so blatantly exploit this man's death and what he meant to so many people to try to garner that warmth and then exploit it even in the runtime and have it blow up like that in all of our faces and spit in so many people's faces by putting it last was atrocious, and honestly is what this year's Academy Awards is going to be remembered for, as it should. And they should get all of the backlash because they deserve it. Not Anthony Hopkins, the Academy and the production team behind this atrocity, because that was unforgivable in my opinion. The way that we built up handing out his head in these little bags and stuff, it's gross. It's actually vile and makes me a little bit sick to my stomach. Sorry, it really makes me upset what happened. And if they just had put Best Actor in its right place in the running order, it would have been disappointing not to have Chadwick have that moment, but we wouldn't have that extra layer of gross manipulation to just cover everything. And then we would have had Nomadland go on to win Best Picture, and we would have ended on Frances howling. You would have looked back to say, okay, wasn't the best Oscars. I personally wish Chadwick would have won, but you know, it was fine. Speaking of winners, I predicted 17 out of 23 correctly. I did pick Viola and Chadwick, lost on both those accounts. I also picked Nomadland to win in adapted screenplay and cinematography, both of which it lost. And then I got like documentary short film wrong as well. I got best song, best original song wrong. There were some random ones. Random ones I wasn't anticipating losing, but here we are. Mank won 2 awards, which I'm like, ugh, it won more awards than Minari, which is a big bummer to me. But that black and white cinematography and the Academy Awards cannot resist. But The Trial of the Chicago 7 got that goose egg. It was the only Best Picture nominee this year to walk away with 0 awards. It wasn't able to pull out an award anywhere. Sound of Metal won Best Sound and Film Editing, which I was so hyped about. Soul ended up taking home Best Animated Feature as well as Best Original Score. And the fact that Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor allowed Batiste to have that moment and give the speech was such a classy act, and I thought it was beautiful. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom ended up winning for Best Costume Design as well as Best Hair and Makeup, which gave us our first ever Black winners in the hair and makeup category. They were actually the first ever Black nominees in the category, and it just goes to show We saw that op-ed come out recently, how women of color, but particularly Black women and Black men, have to bring on their own stylist because there's nobody on the film set who knows how to work with their hair or how to design their hair, any of that. So we don't have enough Black artists doing hair and makeup, and that's inexcusable. This is the first time they've been nominated and won on the 93rd attempt. Shameful, but I'm glad we're past that barrier. Chloe Zhao wins for Best Director, which we all had kind of guessed, but it is still so amazing to finally have a woman of color win that award, and an Asian woman winning the award, only the second ever woman to win that award in the 93-year history. So Chloe Zhao continues to really break barriers, and I'm so here for it. I'm glad she had a momentous night. Netflix also had a strong night overall. Of course, we had those two Mank wins and the Ma Rainey's Black Bottom wins I mentioned before, but then both the live action short and animated short films are both Netflix films, so that was lovely. Overall, most of the winners, I think, went well, up until we got to that final stretch and the manipulation by the production team, where it really just fell off the hinges, and it fell off the hinges in a very hard fashion. The ending of this really tainted the rest, and as I just mentioned, there were some great moments that should be celebrated, some groundbreaking, barrier-busting moments that took place, and they're all going to be overshadowed and pretty much forgotten because of how hard the production team flubbed this mess. So that was it. That was my recap and review of the Academy Awards. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. What did you think? Do you agree? Was it a flubbed mess by the end of this thing? Was this the worst and most draining award season ever? Or did you think the show was one of the strongest Academy Award productions to date? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!